Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you again. We haven't seen you in so long, and we're finally able to be back here. And I want to ask you a personal favor. If you're like our show and you like our videos, please subscribe because I still see that from the so many of you that are viewing it, you haven't yet subscribed to our videos and you haven't yet shared or liked them. So I hope you like them. If you do, give us a thumb up so that we know about it and share it to anybody who might find it useful and helpful to their lives. And I hope you enjoyed this episode too. So, hello, Rachelle.
Hi, Miriam.
So good to see you again.
It's good to see you. Didn't I just see you a few days ago? Oh,
So it's so good to be back on our blog.
It is. It is. So we were talking about what it is we would like to discuss, and I wanted to discuss that's something that's near and dear to my heart and to quite a few of my women friends. What dating is like for a senior citizen. What it's like, what challenges we have, what's different than when we were younger, how do we deal with the halakha issues, etc. So that's why we decided to do this. I'm very excited about it because I have a lot of questions. I'm confused. And actually, if you guys have questions about this too, you should definitely post them underneath and we'll try to address those and give you some answers and help you along, especially here in Namaria where there's a large senior citizen population. So we're going to find out from the woman who knows.
I wish.
How do we, at this stage in our lives, how do we meet guys? How do we meet them?
So I'm thinking that really it doesn't really matter so much if it's younger or older. We all have the same issue. We have a few different issues. We have many different issues. Um, Part of the issue is that we take um, we take love not seriously enough. I think that's the number one reason. We all of us had our hearts broken at some point of our lives, and the younger it was, the more we spent our time in life looking for a soulmate in a more cynical way, less believing in the power of love, less believing in true love, less believing in soulmates, less believing in an everlasting relationship. And with that, we come into our um, dating and marriage and divorce and dating again and hopefully getting married again. And the interesting statistics is that chapter two has at least the same number of divorce, if not more.
Really?
And chapter three has less divorce.
Yes.
So, which I think means that maybe by the third time we've maybe learned a thing or two.
What's really important to us?
I think we learned that I'm going to go through the struggles of life with you or without you,
Mm.
and I choose to go through the struggles of life with you.
Is it?
And I realized by then I'm probably not going to find Mr. or Mrs. Perfect.
And do you feel? Well, I know for me, I feel a lot less dependent. Like it's not a dependency issue
Also,
anymore. It's not
if
so
we
much.
worked out our dependency issues by then, also because some of us do work out our dependency issues at a younger age, and some of us maybe never do. So, so hopefully at least by the second chapter, we have worked out our codependency issues and abandonment issues.
Mm.
The need to be emotionally supported 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
The need to be approved and noticed
Mm-hmm.
24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, so hopefully we've worked that out by the second chapter. And but it seems like maybe we have worked it out, or at least those who make it better on the third chapter
Mm-hmm.
have probably worked out those issues a bit by then.
What's hard, interestingly enough, is that um, I know at this stage I'm looking for conversation, company, companionship, and it's still hard to find a companion, someone who can converse. Because no, you no longer have children or things to distract you
Right.
or keep you busy. So it's you and the other person. So, like, I mean, how do you overcome the fact that maybe the person you're with is not going to be able to give you, you know what I mean? It's a challenge.
So conversation is number one. Uh, do we need to be only engaged and interested in the same things, and do we need to be engaged in conversation 24/7? Is very different than do we have interesting conversations.
Yeah,
So
maybe we need lessons in that.
so that's like another abandonment issue. I think it derives from the abandonment issue. The source of it is the codependency and abandonment issues, that and maybe it actually gets worse as we age because we're not busy with the children and with life and with our careers,
Right,
um, and we
definitely.
want more of that companionship to be relevant to us,
Yes, definitely.
but or to be accessible to
Right.
us.
Yeah.
But it's also a mistake because I still should have my own life.
Yes.
I still should be engaged in whatever my hobbies are, my friends. I still need to miss you and you need to miss me. We need to miss each other.
Yeah.
What we have had maybe in our younger age with
Mhm.
our spouses, at least in the, in the Jewish system, it works very well with the 2 weeks yes, 2 weeks no, which basically, which is we should have a whole different episode about that too, but because it sometimes creates problems, but 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 the wisdom behind it is some of part of the wisdom behind it. If you don't deal with it correctly, it will ruin your life too.
Yeah.
But part of the wisdom behind it is that you do have your own life and you do miss each other
Right.
and you do come to each other from a new place
Yeah.
every month again.
Yep.
So um so part of it maybe is it could increase or decrease with age. If you have developed your own inner life
Mm-hmm.
and you come it's two things. You come with your own inner world and you present it to this new spouse, and they come with their inner world and they present it to you. Because I work a lot with young people, and I see with a lot of the young people, it's sad to say, but many times there is no inner world. I mean, it's many times it's about,
Paying the bills
no, not
and
even that. I'm talking about even much younger, like 16, 18, 20, where people have not yet developed an inner world. They much less read books than ever
yeah,
before. They're basically on their phones 24/7.
they're not using their
And
creativity and imaginations.
exactly. So, like, it's not like I have a hobby, you have a hobby, we have this hobby together, we have those separate hobbies, we present them to each other. Some people do, but
Yeah.
I see many young people who come to each other only from the physical attraction.
Yeah.
And then it bursts in their face, you know, or it doesn't, it depends how long the physical attraction lasts. But the
Wow.
average, we know, even in young relationships, that the physical attraction lasts maximum around 2 years. And then you get into physical boredom. And then if you don't have an inner world and you don't have your own personal life,
Wow.
so what are you left with? So basically, you're left with two miserable people who are sharing their misery and their inner boredom.
Right.
either they're busy at work and then at least they miss each other when they go to work.
Right.
But if they don't have a job, then it adds up to a lot of frustration, of like boredom and frustration, and
Yeah.
and lack of anything to talk about or share or
My parents, their thing was dancing. They would go out dance, and they were doing it throughout their marriage. They'd go out dancing whenever they could, and that was something that they loved and did together.
right.
Some people, like me and my last husband, when we were out doing things together for the world, it was something beyond ourselves, bigger than ourselves, like a common goal to make a difference that also improved our relationship.
So that's actually one of the criteria that we know today, according to research,
Mm,
that one of the elements to keep an everlasting marriage is to do something for the world together, is to have inner or like common values, common ideology. It doesn't have to be, again, it doesn't have to be in all realms of life.
yeah, no.
One can be religious, one can be not. One can be left wing, one can be right wing. One can be whatever, religious in this way, one can be religious in that way. But um, but to have some common values that you share, and to operate for them, to do something for them in the world,
Yeah,
makes a big difference in a relationship between a couple.
I think so. I think it's probably held together some relationships that are fraught with other problems, but they have that one thing that cements them together.
Right, right. And in
Yeah,
general, Judaism really talks about it already for a couple thousand years, how we should um, have a common goal of serving God, basically. What is the whole idea of serving Hashem? Serving the oneness. The oneness represents that commonality, basically. When we are joined to serve the world, then we put the Shekhinah into our marriage. We put the deep element of godliness into our marriage. We're not just here to enjoy life together. We're not just here to enjoy each other, but we're here in service to the world. When we remember that God put us together in order to serve the world,
it's so satisfying.
then it's not just satisfying. We put literally God into our relationship.
Yeah.
And if we look at the word woman,
Mm-hmm.
in the word woman,
Mm-hmm.
there are four words. There's woman, there's men, there's fire, and there's God. So basically, when a man and a woman live in godliness, live in learning spirituality together, live in serving God, serving the world. When I say serving God, I mean serving the world together. Then, then there's a holy flame in there, and when that is missing, that flame is a consuming flame. Instead of being a warming flame, it becomes a consuming flame.
I'll tell you though, we're at this stage. I can tell you, Miriam, that we are so much stuck in our routines that even if we are individually doing something to help the world, it's like two people. This person's doing this to help the world, and that person's doing that to help the world. I realize that we need to bring together to do something together.
Sometimes, like in a marriage, that could also be a warming fire. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that thing together. It means that each one of the partners
Right,
is doing something to serve the world.
right.
And if you think about it practically,
Mm-hmm.
when the children are young and it's not really possible to do something together on a regular basis,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Life is busy as it is already.
Right.
So each one gives space to the other to volunteer, to do good service in the world. And just like each one gives the other space to have their hobby or to meet there with their friends or whatever it is. And then from that place, still it creates a joint union of serving the world by me giving you the space to do things in your time and you giving me the space to do things on another time, because we cannot really do it together because somebody always has to be with the kids.
Okay, so it isn't necessary that we. It's just that we don't necessarily have to be doing this together.
We don't necessarily have to be doing this together. The fact that we're under one roof
Right.
serving the world together, whether it's
This.
together practically or together on different times, but we're still together. We're giving the space to each other. It's still the togetherness. It's when we fight about it that it's not together. It's when it brings disunity into our family that it's not together.
Right.
So we need to also consider the feelings of our spouse. It's not. It doesn't mean that I'm out there doing loving kindness and chesed with the whole world and not minding my spouse. And it has to be done. Everything has to be done with measure, with wisdom, with
Balance.
balance. That's
Yeah.
why attributes in Judaism, coming
Mm-hmm.
to talk about the Sfirot, attributes in Judaism are not called only attributes, they're also called midot, which is measures. There is no right and wrong attribute. There is a right measure of each attribute in each constellation or situation.
So, well, I'm back to the original question. How are we supposed to meet that person? Like, how's that? How are we supposed to
So
come
if we
together?
haven't done that fixing in our lives when we were young,
Yeah.
um, there are elements in which it's harder, and there are elements in which it might be easier in our older age. Because hopefully we've become wiser, but many times I see that also in older ages, people are trying to meet from the sexual attraction,
Isn't that
and
amazing?
and obviously that's going to be harder.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were so judgmental, or we were so judgmental when we were young,
Yeah.
in our younger ages,
Yeah.
towards physical attraction.
Right.
So it's not going to get better as we age, right? But it should get better because we should be wiser about it, and we should be realizing at a certain time in our life that I want to be attracted to someone not because of their physical appearance, but because I'm attracted to their soul. And after I've fallen in love with their soul, with their character, with who they are, with what they represent in the world, then the physical attraction comes from there. It's a much deeper physical attraction. Truth is, we should learn it when we're young.
Yeah.
They should teach us that when we're young. Judaism talks a lot about that, but if we haven't done it, learned it when we were young, we should at least try to learn it when we're older.
I find that most of my friends that are attempting to date as seniors are still encountering men who only want to have sex.
Right,
They can't wait until
right.
they go into the bedroom and have sex. I don't understand.
And they many times expect that even on the first or second date.
I know.
Even in the religious world, we've encountered it so many
I don't
times.
understand that.
Right,
Like, it doesn't matter whether you like. There's no value put for the person or
right.
understanding of the.
I feel that the problem is in the division or in the lack of understanding, or the wall between love and sexual release. It's We should remember that we call it making love, not having sex. We a little bit forgot that it's called also making love and not just having sex. The emphasis is more on the having sex in our world than on the
Yeah.
making love. How can you make love to someone? I mean, think about it. You meet a girlfriend, a friend, right? Are you ready to even shake anybody's hand? Not always.
Yeah.
And like nevertheless hug them or kiss them, and this is your, just on a friendly level, right? So, like, how can you conceptualize or think of kissing someone
I don't
a
know.
deep kiss when you just met them an hour ago or a day ago or a week ago?
Because that's how they're socialized. That's how they've been brought up, I
And
guess. I don't know.
and women give into that. Women are less
Yeah.
into that, but women give into that because they feel that they will be, because of our abandonment issues.
Yeah.
Um,
That
and
we won't get anything unless we give something.
Exactly, like they say, women give sex to get love, and men give love to get sex.
Yeah.
Um, and and it's actually that, the idea that women have received 9 powers of speech out of the 10 powers of speech that have come down to the world. Women have received 9. The idea is not that women are chatters, like some people try to present it.
I know.
The idea is that women are um, sent into the world to have to teach the world, to teach men um, conversational skills, communication skills.
Oh boy, even at this point, I don't know. It's very hard to find someone who's willing to do that. It's
Yeah,
very hard.
yeah. It's it's the hard mission of women in the world, but that's what God has given us.
That's what God has given us. And there
So,
are some that
and
are
by the way, it doesn't come to say that men don't have conversational or communicational skills.
no.
It's the idea that,
It's just different.
in general, I don't want to generalize, but in general, yes, there are many women that are more masculine, and there are many men that are more feminine,
Yeah.
and it
Energy. We're
varies.
talking energies.
We're talking energies, right? So the feminine energy is a more communicational energy, whether it's the man who has it or the woman in your relationship, however it works. Maybe by you it's the man, and by another couple it's the woman. In general, um, I think most women here will agree that when they want to have an emotional conversation, the husband either falls asleep or needs to do something, or all of a sudden he remembers he didn't put up that shelf from 2 years ago. So anything but to have an emotional conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
So we need to bring that feminine energy back into the world for the sake of all of our marriages.
Definitely. And I don't, I guess maybe I don't know any better, but I kind of think that most of the halakha for the for the frum world seems to be more geared towards people that are going to have families, as opposed to people that aren't going to have families, or don't need to be interdependent, or don't need to be with each other for security reasons. It's like I don't really understand why things are so restrictive for the frum world. Like, how does a frum woman meet a frum man if, like, they're, you know, kept in opposite sides of the
So for our
room?
listeners, frum means religious and Jewish.
Mm.
Yeah, but when you mean halacha, which is, by the way, the Jewish law, for those of you who don't understand, when you mean halacha, to what actual halacha are you referring right now, for example?
Like, like a single man and a single woman can't be in the same apartment together
Right,
without, or they can't dance together at an event, or that.
right,
You
okay.
know, how to,
So we'll start with the dancing. The dancing is a very romantic thing. It rises up the attraction tremendously.
But you have two single
Obviously,
people.
you have two single people, right?
Okay.
So now, which takes me to the next part of why don't want to be in the same space
Mhm.
alone,
Mhm.
where intimacy can occur
Mhm.
prior to when our intellect tells us that it's right for intimacy to occur.
Right.
So yes, we're single people, but just like we said before, we run into bed much faster or much prematurely to the relationship, and we get hurt by that.
So it's a protection.
So it's a protection for both of us, yeah, to restrain ourselves till we believe that it's the right time. Judaism and other religions come to tell us that the right time is after the wedding. But even if we look at it in a more modern way and we realize that maybe most people will not wait till the wedding, um, but at least
Mhm.
we should come from it from not from a hormonal
Mhm.
stage of
Mhm.
state of mind,
Mm.
but from a
Respectful.
reasonable no a reasonable decision
Oh, okay.
that time has come. Because if I come to it from a reasonable decision,
Mhm.
then if time has come, probably time has also come for us to get married. And if I come to it from a hormonal state of mind, then okay, we had a release, it was nice, but we were not really connected.
Mhm.
Now we're physically or hormonally much more connected,
Mhm.
but it's not really an everlasting relationship because there are all these issues we haven't worked out.
Mhm.
But now it messes up um, the whole system of like, okay, a woman after a man penetrates her, she feels like it's something changes in
Oh
her.
yeah. Yes.
Something changes in her physically. Something changes in her emotionally.
Yeah.
Um, Especially if he comes in her,
Level of
the
intimacy.
level of intimacy,
Yeah.
um, the 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 feeling. It actually says it says in the Talmud, and we know it from biology that when the sperm gets into the woman's body,
Yeah.
it actually makes her re-fall in love. After people
Mm.
have lost intimacy,
It's true.
after people have lost their attraction many times,
Yeah.
if they get to have sex and 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 she will receive his sperm,
Yeah.
something in her heart will reawaken. So that also happens
That's
when
true.
premature sex happens.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, but it really touches me on a deep level.
Right.
But it's not really the right thing for me. He's not really the right person for me. And then I get all messed up around it.
That is so true. Oh man, that is so true.
So now it brings us back to the dancing, um, or like basically, yeah, like like you dance, you want to end up elsewhere. It takes you into a different realm of intimacy.
Okay, that makes sense. It's true. It's true. It's definitely better to meet in public places for, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 dates. You know.
I would say even with a girlfriend, you don't become really close
Yeah, that could take years.
in less than, okay, let's not say years, but okay,
Okay.
but it takes at least 2 months
Yes.
of like very intensive
Time spent.
time
A lot
spent
of time
together.
spent.
Exactly. Or
Yeah.
at least a month, at least,
Yeah. You're
of
right.
very intensive meetings and phone calls and generosity, um, gestures of
Yes.
like for each other, to make you
Yes.
feel like the person really cares about you, to
Yes.
know to see how altruistic they are about you, to
Yes.
know to see how much they just know how to give of themselves even.
Now, what is the though I'm working on this myself. What is the benefit of having like a third person setting you up and working as an intermediary? And
I
what's the
see that even people, I don't remember the name of this blogger recently who spoke about it, but I've seen even very high, highly aware people
mm-hmm,
who have read a lot and who have learned a lot
mm-hmm,
and who've gone through counseling for many years in their
mm-hmm,
lives
mm-hmm,
and are very self-aware people
mm-hmm,
and very invested in spiritual and emotional growth,
mm-hmm,
um, take a counselor or someone to escort them through their relationship,
mm-hmm,
because even when you've met the person,
mm-hmm.
we're who are we kidding? We're still coming with our baggage. We're still coming with our
That's
issues.
very true.
So it's like, especially if you've met the person in your
I
life,
have to
you
see
don't want to ruin
clearly.
it. No, and you don't want to ruin it. You
Yeah.
don't want to take any chances after you've met the person in your life that's going to get ruined. So, so I think there's a great wisdom in having someone escort you. It doesn't have to be on a daily basis.
No.
It doesn't have to be on a weekly basis. It doesn't have to be on an hourly basis, even though maybe for some people, yes.
Yeah.
I have some people who I'm coaching on an hourly basis because their communicational skills are really needing it. And
Wow.
they're really are so afraid of how they're going to mess up the relationship
Yeah.
on a minute to minute level. So,
Wow.
so it's like everybody needs it to a different extent. But I think it's very wise to have a third person in a relationship to help you. Don't let them take over, because that's the other thing. Um, in some places, or some, it's very important to find the right person.
Yeah, that's not easy.
As in our Jewish world, we see a lot how either rabbis or rebbitzins or shulchanim are not humble enough in how they
But they have their own expectations.
exactly. And sometimes, and you need it's like, take someone professional, take someone who really knows how to put themselves aside,
Mm-hmm.
and remember that it's the two of you,
Mm-hmm.
it's your relationship. And
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah.
And I think for myself, I have to come from even myself. I have to come from a humble place of what's really important to me, and it's not about criticizing the other person, but it's about like what's bothering me here. What's going to make me happy here. It, and as long as I'm working to be honest and come from an honest place, I find that it's received better by the other person. Not alone according to somebody else's rules or whatever, but who I am. What would bother me and what makes me happy.
Right, right. You can't imitate anybody's life.
No.
And by the way, when I say a professional, I don't necessarily mean that a rabbi or rebbitzin are unprofessionals, and a psychotherapist is, or a social worker, whatever, is a professional. Because it's the professionality, but it's also the spiritual integrity of the person you're working with, or
Yeah.
the person who's working with you. Because I've seen psychotherapists also who don't know how to put themselves aside, even though they're supposed to be professional. They don't know how to give space to who you are and what your
And
person,
listen.
and listen. Exactly.
Everybody
They're
has
too
to
busy giving
listen.
their own advice, their own
Yeah,
agenda. So
definitely.
maybe that's the best advice. Just be aware of, like, whether you're being pushed with someone's agenda,
Right.
or you're really being with someone who's in tune with your needs, your personal needs and your relationship needs.
Wow. Now I can go out and continue. I have to say too that it's I'm also much more aware of how God fits into the movie. It's like, yeah, I can go on dating sites, whatever, but God is going to create the situation and the circumstance when I'm ready to enter into that relationship. Because it could be on a train, it could be, at the supermarket, it could be anywhere. As long as I'm ready and that person is ready to come together.
When we've cooked long enough into a certain awareness that we're ready to meet each other and create something good.
Yeah, and that's the unknown. That's really unknown. But most times in my life, anytime I've um, wanted to, really wanted to come together, I had to open up to that it's God that's doing it. And I don't have control over it.
And how many of us know people who've maybe known each other for 20 years
Yes.
and it wasn't the right time? Maybe they were good
Yeah.
friends, maybe they were classmates, whatever it was.
Yep.
And then a whole lifetime went by and they all went through what they needed to go through. And then finally, 20 years later, they re meet each other.
At 70 and 80.
Also,
I've heard
sometimes,
that. I've heard
even
that.
yeah, I've heard that too.
Or they've gone through other parts of their lives and dealt with issues that they needed to do with somebody else, and then they come around to their high school sweetheart
Right, right,
because they're ready to
right,
appreciate just the love, the simple love that they had when they were high school sweethearts.
right.
That was wonderful. You answered a lot of my questions.
I'm glad. Good luck in finding the love of your life. Another thing I've heard is really important to say, to add here, is that that's another thing. In order to create an everlasting relationship, don't look for the one. Don't necessarily look for the one. And don't necessarily look at it as an everlasting thing.
Mm.
Because sometimes from looking for the one
Mm-hmm.
and looking, is it going to be everlasting?
It's
You get
very true.
stuck
Right.
in the same things, in the same
Right.
problems.
Yes.
But if you're like, I'm enjoying your company today,
Yeah.
let's have another minute together. Let's have another day together. Let's have another week together.
Yeah.
It's taken one step at a time, in baby steps.
This
And
is
if
key.
Yeah, this is key. And
It
if
is
you had
key.
a bad moment,
Yeah.
don't run to ruin it.
No.
Ask yourselves, can we fix this? How many good moments versus how many bad moments were there? So, can we fix this bad moment? Can we overlook this bad moment? Because there are enough good moments. And you aren't going to have good moments with anybody, only good moments with anybody. You're going to
Honesty
have
is key.
complicated moments with everybody.
Honesty is key. Sometimes, we are coming with our baggage. So sometimes you may be misinterpreting what I'm saying. I may be misinterpreting what you're saying. We at least have to have the mental space to be
To discuss
willing
it
to
and to
move.
hear out each other.
Yes.
Right.
And that's really key too.
Right.
I've gone through that recently myself. It's incredible. There's something to be learned from every level of relationship. And sometimes you're making a friend. You're just making a good friend.
And sometimes dating someone for one date just will teach you something profound about yourself, that you will bring yourself forth to the next date, which is really the one, in a totally different manner.
Yes.
So don't get discouraged. Oh my gosh, I've get to 10,000 different dates, and they were all gone. Because in a way, every day with every person is a reincarnation of ourselves.
Wow.
It brings me, it elevates me to the next level.
Definitely.
And it evolves me to the next level.
Gives you more awareness of yourself.
Exactly what I need, what I don't need. And if you come just more depressed to the next date, to the next person, then you bring with yourself all this bitterness. But if you come to the next person, to the next date with all this, oh, I've learned this and that about myself. I know that this kind of person is not for me and that kind of person is for me.
Yep.
So you bring yourself in a totally different manner. You come with with the light in your face. You come with lightness, and you come with a light in your face, and you come with less
Definitely.
bitterness inside of you,
Yeah,
and with less
definitely.
cynicism inside of you.
Yeah.
And it's when two people who are growing that are meeting each other,
Yes.
it's the recipe for something good to happen. Because two bitter people coming with each other just create more bitterness.
And I think that people have to know what's really valuable to them. You know, if the guy's wearing a shirt that's not big enough or small enough or this or that, it's got to be more the core, the
Right,
values of the
right,
person.
right.
You have to be open to seeing that.
And don't run
Oh,
to fix each other. It doesn't come to say that you don't
yeah,
want some things different about each other.
right.
But wait with that.
Yeah, you're
Say
right.
to yourself, oh, this is an amazing person. So they're not exactly dressed the way I like them to be dressed. Or,
Right.
they don't exactly hold a fork and a knife or whatever it is, like sometimes they say silly jokes and it embarrasses me in front of my friends.
Yeah.
So you can wait a bit and say it in the right moment in a sweet way. Always ask, is this a good moment? I have something to say. This is really key also.
Okay.
Before you come to over say something,
Yeah.
say, I need to talk to you about something. Is this a good moment? Don't do it when they're hungry. Don't do it when they're tired. Don't do it when you're hungry or tired. Do it when you know that it might be a good moment, that you're both serene.
Timing is everything.
Timing is, and preparing a person that you're coming to lay something on their head is really important too. They need to prepare themselves. Give them that
Definitely.
time to prepare
Yeah,
themselves.
definitely. That's very true. You know, very true. And also, a lot is said without words. Just the way you look at the person.
Well,
Okay, this
that's
is
true for some
serious.
people. Not everybody. There's so many people who don't read facial expressions.
Really?
Yeah, of course. There are many people who don't read facial expressions.
They don't know.
They don't know that something is going on inside of you for 30 years sometimes. They don't know. They think everything is okay. And you might be also very good at faking your mood, and they think everything is okay until you've lost it completely and you just,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
they realize, but then it's too late.
That's
Don't
true.
wait for it to be late. It's not worth it. Try to be more present in noticing each other's change in facial expressions,
Yeah.
and changes in tone,
Mm-hmm.
and ask each other. Much better to ask each other, is everything okay? Did I do something wrong today? Did I step on your toes? It will also make you feel better if you ask, did I do something wrong? Than if you wait for the person to tell you, hey, you did something today.
And that way you can also get an affirmation. Maybe you misinterpreted.
Right?
Maybe you didn't do something wrong.
Right.
Maybe the person's having a bad day or they're
Right?
busy
Right?
or
Right?
something else is going on.
Right?
So you get the
Also,
relief that, oh, wow, it's not me.
it's not me. Right? Right? But don't rush into it, because I've seen that too. Like sometimes we rush into trying to change someone, and there's not even a relationship there yet.
It's true.
So,
Been there.
yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So, yeah.
Sounds good. All right, everybody. Now you have tools. You're ready. You can go out there into the world and form those relationships.
Yeah. Find the love of your life
Definitely.
and have fun.
Blessings.
Bye bye.
Bye.
And don't forget to subscribe our button, and like and share to everybody.
And
Hope
ask
everybody,
questions and give us your ideas.
yeah, give us your additions, and looking to hear your insights. Take care.